Jumonville Glen, or the volley that set a world on fire, was fired by George Washington. It was here on May 28th, 1754. That 35 Frenchmen were encamped, cooking, sleeping, drying out their wet gear, when with the break of dawn they were attacked by George Washington's 20 militiamen and perhaps 10 Native Americans. The riflemen of Washington's corps fired from these heights here, 20 of them, while Washington took up positions in an arc upstream and on the opposite bank. When the Frenchmen rose and those who had not been hit in the first volley fled, they fled downstream past this big rock into the waiting arms of the Mingo warriors, whose arms were bearing hatchets. Most of the Frenchmen were killed by hatchet blows. All were scalped. And Jumonville, probably right down where I'm looking now, begging at the foot of George Washington for mercy, explaining that he was perhaps a diplomat and that that's why he had posted no sentries, died. He was wounded, yes, but that's not what killed him. For Tenackerson, the Mingo half-king, raced up to him, saying something to the effect, "My father, you are not yet dead," and drove his hatchet into his skull, wiping his hands and Jumonville's brains. Was it that moment that Washington recognized that in his 22 years he did not have the experience to properly engage an enemy of this nature, nor the experience to work with very savvy and experienced Native Americans? We don't know. He didn't report all of that to Governor Dinwiddie of Virginia. And in fact, he wrote a letter to his brother saying that, to the effect, he found the sounds of bullets hissing through the air to be quite charming. Washington killed or took prisoner all but one of the French. 12 of the Frenchmen died, but the one escaped back to Fort Duquesne. And at Fort Duquesne, French troops were on the move. Initially, George Washington, empowered by this victory, shall we say, massacre, set off to meet them. But at Gist's plantation, he was informed by how large the force was that was chasing him, and he quickly retreated back to Fort Necessity, where he would suffer a huge defeat and sign a document which he claimed he did not understand, that said, that admitted that he personally had assassinated Jumonville, a diplomat from the French government. So George Washington began the French and Indian War, whether it be here at Jumonville Glen or at Fort Necessity, when he was overtaken by the larger French and Indian force. It's ironic. He would soon enough turn against his British allies, and perhaps using some of the lessons he learned here, defeat them in the American Revolution.